Shabbat Shalom,
Shabbat Shalom.
which is peace on Yahweh's Holy Sabbath Day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in Stone Mountain, Georgia. We are blessed to have a place where we can truly learn about the things of Yahweh, our Elohim. We take for granted sometimes the opportunity to know the truth. Excuse me. If we end up through some unlucky situation in the court system, and you stand before one of those judges, and they pronounce their judgment against you for whatever crime that you had no idea of, and when you reply to them, I didn't know that was against the law. I've heard it over and over again. Ignorance of the law is no excuse for breaking it. It is your responsibility to know the things that you're supposed to walk in. So it is a very great thing that we have an opportunity to read out of these things and have direction out of these things, because there's no excuse for us. We're in the information age. So do understand that Yahweh won't allow us some kind of a veil of ignorance. Those are the people who grew up on those farms and didn't have access to the internet and all of that. They get the veil of ignorance. Those were, people who like 90, 100 years old now. We don't get the veil of ignorance. You have too much available to you for you to go and stand before this great throne and just and the best you have is, I don't know. That's your reasoning for the things that you've done, is you didn't know? Why didn't you know? When it came down to any natural thing, we go all out of our way to research it. When it come down to some vehicle that we want to purchase, we know how fast it'll go from 0 to 60. We know how fast it stop. We know the different packages. We can look at somebody else's car and say, oh, you got that LE and not the SE. What? You know the difference between the LE and the SE? So you can just look at the back of the letters on top of somebody's car and know, yeah, you got those heated seats in there. Say, because I know that edition. How you know that? Oh, you researched that. But you don't have any knowledge whatsoever about your salvation. You haven't researched any of that. But you know which car come with the heated seats, though. Right. Brother, go ahead and read the oracles, that we may entreat the angel that stands at the door to come in and sup with us and us with him, that we may make this a holy convocation by the angel's presence.
1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another, as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you are sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim as their children, and walk in love, as the Messiah also have loved us, and has given himself for us, an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as become saints. neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth, therefore let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you, to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right. The visions and the dreams of the prophets were how they received their direction from the Most High. When we read through this great legacy left unto us, we find that those prophets went through a period of getting to know how Yahweh would deal with them before they were sent out to work in the prophetic office. Many people encounter issues in their daily lives and seek direction from the Most High. The problem is, many have not gone through the period of their life where they pay attention and learn how the Most High deals with them. This problem is compacted even more as many people turn on the TV and hear evangelists proclaim how God speaks to them on a regular basis. This gives many people low self-esteem in regards to their relationship with the Most High. This also causes men to exalt undeserving leaders who make great proclamations in the name of the Most High Covenant Elohim of Israel. All of these things coupled together with minimal understanding of the prophetic office have even caused some to teach and believe that if one only reads the Bible, then he has become a prophet at that very moment, which is not written or cannot be proven throughout any of these things that are written. But we're going to begin today's sermon in Exodus chapter 20. Exodus chapter 20, and we're going to read verses 18 through 21. And today's sermon is entitled, The Visions and Dreams of the Prophets. The Visions and Dreams of the Prophets.
Exodus chapter 20 and verse 18. And all the people saw the thunderings and the lightnings and the noise of the trumpet and the mountain smoking. And when the people saw it, they removed and stood afar off. And they said unto Moshe, Speak you with us, and we will hear. But let not Elohim speak with us, lest we die. And Moshe said unto the people, Fear not, for Elohim is come to prove you.
Right. He's only showing you this power so that there is respect coupled with this. But here it is, as Yahweh speaks to the children of Israel, his people, the power is too strong. They don't want to be spoken to directly to Yahweh. So they want, look, you go talk to Yahweh and then you come back and tell us. Go ahead.
And that his fear may be before your faces, that you sin not. And the people stood afar off, and Moshe drew near unto the thick darkness where Elohim was.
So you have this setup, and as Israel have asked, so the setup is from this point on, whether they know it or not. A lot of things we say in the heat of the moment, we don't consider. You don't know the day that the angel is standing at your house, or the day that the angel is standing there while you in confrontation with somebody and you hide under the collar and you utter something out of your mouth. And that day that angel said, right there, that one is accounted to you. The rest of the dealings of Yahweh and the children of Israel goes according to what they let come out of their mouth. And we'll let a whole lot of things come out of our mouth when we get hot under the collar. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 18. Deuteronomy chapter 18, and let's read verses 15 through 22.
Yahweh your El will raise up unto you a prophet from the midst of you, of your brethren, like unto me. Unto him you shall hearken.
Now, like unto me, how did he deal with Moshe? He dealt with Moshe face to face, right? So you need to ask some old covenant brothers. I just saw some stuff this morning. Well, some people are, it is amazing. Just because somebody say they're Hebrew Israelite, you have to, I watched as they tried to bait somebody like it was a question and throw it out there about the Messiah. The whole time they don't believe in anything of the New Testament. So they were trying to bait somebody so they can get some unsuspecting person to jump in the discussion. And then they 5-6 people jump out of the Facebook woods, wherever they be hiding at. So about 5-6 of them jump out of the Facebook woods, and then if anybody had actually got conned into that, what they were going to get was they were going to be jumped on by 6 people who do not believe in the Messiah. And I sat there and watched. I said, boy, they hunting for somebody, and they didn't do nothing right away. Let a little time pass, and here come one after another after another. I said, look at them. And they all know each other. So they were waiting for some person to come and say something about the Messiah, and then they were going to come and tell you, they were going to read certain things where it says, I will not give my glory unto another. There's no Savior beside me. So they take all of these things to justify and say that there is no Christ. So when you get to this right here, you need to ask them, so who is this that he's talking about in the Old Testament, saying that I'm going to bring you one like me? Understand now, Moshe went in the presence of Yahweh to the point where he started to glow. People didn't even want to deal with him. He had to put something over his face because they were scared to go near him. So this ain't no regular prophet. So you need to ask those old covenant brothers who tell you that there's no such thing as Christ. Who the last glowing brother you seen? Who is this talking about right here? You need to know, because they're going to throw a whole lot of scripture at you and try to run you all across the Bible. You need to run all across the Bible. Stay right here. Every time they go all the way, come right back here. Now, who is it right here? Who is Moses talking about? Because they proclaim to believe in the Old Testament. Anything you read in the New Testament, they're not going to listen to it. So don't go running all over the Bible, because they don't believe in that anyway. Come right back here. See, people who believe in the New Testament only, you have to learn how to deal with them within the New Testament only. Then you have those that only believe in the Old Testament. You have to learn how to deal with them from within the Old Testament. And I promise you, you can deal with both of them from the very book that they claim they believe in. You can tear them up from that book only. Go ahead.
Verse 16. According to all that you desired of Yahweh your El in Horeb in the day of the assembly, saying, let me not hear again the voice of Yahweh your El, neither let me see the great fire any more, that I die not. And Yahweh said unto me, they have well spoken that which they have spoken. I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren, like unto you, and will put my words in his mouth, and he will speak unto them all that I shall command him. And it shall come to pass that whosoever will not hearken unto my words, which he shall speak in my name, I will require it of him.
Right. So here it is. We're talking about a whole nother level here. You know, this is talking about a Messiah. These people are telling you there's no such thing as a Messiah. Yet they tell you that they believe in the Old Testament. Wait a minute. We just in, let me see, Genesis, Exodus, Numbers, Dude. They believe in the Old Testament. We're just 4 books in, right? It's just, what's the problem? So who is this? Go ahead.
But the prophet which shall presume to speak a word in my name, which I have not commanded him to speak, or that shall speak in the name of other gods, even that prophet shall die. And if you say in your heart, how shall we know the word which Yahweh hath not spoken? When a prophet speaks in the name of Yahweh, if the thing follow not, nor come to pass, that is the thing which Yahweh hath not spoken. But the prophet hath spoken it presumptuously. You shall not be afraid of him.
You shall not be afraid of him, and do understand what this thing is about. We have to learn and pay attention to how Yahweh, our Elohim, deals with us. And a lot of times we don't pay attention. Whereas we'll be trying to you push something forward, and certain things will happen, and we don't see that Yahweh is blocking us from doing that. But meanwhile, we're waiting to hear from Yahweh. We're waiting for a voice. We're waiting for somebody to float down the hall and say, don't do that, Esau. Don't do that. Because we turn on the TV and the evangelists say all the time, well, I talked to the Lord last night. Really? So now this has regular people having some kind of self-esteem issue. Like, well, Yahweh don't deal with me. Yahweh dealing with you. You ain't paying attention. You keep waiting for somebody to float down the hall and talk to you and scare you half to death. No, he's talking to you. You're just not paying attention to how he's talking to you. You waiting to hear a voice. He already got a book here. What do you need to tell you the same things that's in the book? Ask your mama or your daddy the same things over and over and see how many times they gonna keep saying the same thing. You think a great Elohim like Yahweh gonna keep saying the same thing that he already done said? Why need to tell you the same thing that's in Genesis? Why need to tell you the same things in Exodus? Why I need to turn around? So I need to give you a personal message? Hold on, everybody. Hold on. Suck talking. Who the hell am I? You got a book, right? I don't need to talk to you personally. Go read the stuff that I left for you. Go ahead, brother. Let's go to Numbers chapter 12. Numbers chapter 12, and let's read verses 1 through 8.
Numbers chapter 12 and verse 1. And Miriam and Aaron spake against Moshe because of the Ethiopian woman whom he had married. For he had married an Ethiopian woman.
Right. And people have problems and issues with Yahweh's servants because of this or that or whatever thing that they got in their car. You understand? This is not the same woman that it was talking about before. Moshe married a Midianite. He was forced out of that, out of Egypt. But then he has to come back in Egypt. Now, this is 40 years before he's left out. You think he hadn't dealt with no woman in 40 years? This may have been the same woman he had to run away from 40 years ago. But now, brother and sister got an issue. See, now he back. And now he got an Egyptian woman. The woman before was a Midianite, a daughter of a priest. But now he back in Egypt. Now they got a problem with him marrying this Egyptian woman. Who's to say he wasn't already married to that Egyptian woman when he had to run out as a fugitive? He was 40 years old, not 14. Go ahead.
And they said, has Yahweh indeed spoken only by Moshe?
Now you see, they got one problem. Now the problem is the Egyptian woman. But that's not how this problem is coming out. Now the problem is I'm going to question his authority inside of Yahweh's setup. But the real problem is the woman. And this is how people do. They have something in their car about one thing, but they'll pull it to something else. So now his authority is questioned. Go ahead.
Has he not spoken also by us? And Yahweh heard it. Now the man Moshe was very meek above all the men which were upon the face of the earth. And Yahweh spake suddenly unto Moshe, and unto Aaron, and unto Miriam, come out you three out of the tabernacle of the congregation. And they three came out.
Moshe ain't have to go say nothing to Yahweh. Yahweh said, all three of y'all come out. Go ahead.
And Yahweh came down in the pillar of the cloud, and stood in the door of the tabernacle, and called Aaron and Miriam, and they both came forth. And he said, hear now my words. If there be a prophet among you, I Yahweh will make myself known unto him in a vision, and will speak unto him in a dream.
So you understand how prophets get their directions in dreams and visions. So you're going to run into them dudes on the corner that tell you, hey, brother, you can't be prophesying with your head covered. What are you talking about? Because you read not the book, brother. You are prophesying and you got your head covered. According to what's written here, a prophet receives his things in dreams and visions. Now, I think I'm awake right now. I think I'm just reading. I don't, are you awake?
Yeah.
You sure you're awake?
I'm positive.
Okay, well, this brother say he awake and he reading, and I pretty much think I'm awake. So, and I don't think I dreamed or visioned any of these words that's on this paper right here. But what them brothers gonna tell you that once you read this, you have become a prophet. Then that means you don't need to have nothing on your head as a brother. But what they have a problem with is authority, which is the problem that everybody has. Authority. See, having that head covering shows that you are under authority. And that's what people don't want to be under. Go ahead.
My servant Moshe is not so, who is faithful in all mine house. With him will I speak mouth to mouth, even apparently, and not in dark speeches, and the similitude of Yahweh shall he behold.
Similitude of Yahweh shall he behold. Go ahead.
Wherefore then were you not afraid to speak against my servant Moshe?
Now, this right here is something altogether different that you have to really deal with. It says, verse 8, with him will I speak mouth to mouth, even apparently, and not in dark speeches. So he's not going to be given something that people can't understand or something that he's got to go and try to figure out. He's going to be talking to this servant straight up, face to face. Understand what was said before. I'm going to raise up a prophet. Yahweh says he's going to raise up a prophet like unto me out of your brethren. So it would be one of the children of Israel who Yahweh is going to deal with face to face the same way he dealt with Moshe. Who is that man? This is something that you have to ask to any of those old covenant people who proclaim that there is not a Messiah. Because this right here gives you the understanding. Having these two back to back gives you the understanding of how Yahweh is going to deal with this prophet. So Moshe was greater than a prophet. Go ahead.
That was verse 8.
That was it. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 13. See, what we have to understand and see in there is you know, this was family. And sometimes familiarity breeds contempt. Sometimes the more comfortable you are with something, the easier it is to have a contemptible look upon it. As the Messiah said, a prophet is not without honor, except in his own country, among his own kin, and in his own house. So he couldn't even do miracles in the place where he was brought up. So they're like, man, don't we know you? Man, we can't accept that coming from you, bro. Same thing brothers gonna have in their house. Same thing some of these sisters have in their house. You come into the word and they're like, hey, well, you the one that shot up that 7-Eleven? What did you? Man, get out of here, man. I ain't trying to hear nothing about no Bible from you. Oh, sometimes you gotta go somewhere else. They're not gonna hear you there. Deuteronomy chapter 13, and let's read verses 1 through 5.
Verse 1. If there arise among you a prophet or a dreamer of dreams, and gives you a sign or a wonder, and the sign or the wonder come to pass, whereof he spake unto you, saying, let us go after other gods, which you have not known, and let us serve them. You shall not hearken unto the words of that prophet or that dreamer of dreams. For Yahweh your El proves you to know whether you love Yahweh your El with all your heart and with all your soul.
So meanwhile, if you're trying to look for some kind of image to jump out and scare you half to death, and then Yahweh is proving you to see whether or not you are going to follow him, then you got somebody in front of you giving you some false prophecy. And because you wanted to see a person, Now you have negated the words of Yahweh so you can deal with that which you see. Go ahead.
Verse 4. You shall walk after Yahweh your El, and fear him, and keep his commandments, and obey his voice, and you shall serve him, and cleave unto him. And that prophet, or that dreamer of dreams, shall be put to death, because he has spoken to turn you away from Yahweh your El, which brought you out of the land of Egypt, and redeemed you out of the house of bondage, to thrust you out of the way which Yahweh your El commanded you to walk in. So shall you put the evil away from the midst of you.
Right. And understand, we all you have to do is turn on the television and you're going to hear a whole thing about prophets, master prophets and these things. And people pay a lot of money to hear these personal prophecies and whatnot. And here Yahweh says how serious this thing is by claiming that they are speaking for Yahweh, and Yahweh haven't spoken to them. Let's go to our First Chronicles, chapter 17. First Chronicles, chapter 17, and we're going to read verses 1 through 15. But once again, we see even in that judgment of dealing with a false prophet, you see how that was supposed to be given in a dream or in a vision. So Yahweh has instructed and shown the prophets how he's going to deal with them. We as individuals have to learn how Yahweh deals with us. Learn how he shows you certain things, and once you get accustomed to it, you'll be able to see certain things and know whether or not you need to turn left or right. You see, you can't forget all of the things that you've been through. Those things happen for a reason. Go ahead.
Now it came to pass, as David sat in his house, that David said unto Nathan the prophet, Lo, I dwell in an house of cedars, but the ark of the covenant of Yahweh remaineth under curtains. Then Nathan said unto David, Do all that is in your heart, for Elohim is with you.
Right. Nathan said, now this is Nathan the prophet. He is now speaking as a man. They are having a conversation. He has no reason to believe that Yahweh is not going to be with this man. He has been with him through every battle that he has been with. He has been through everything that he has been in. Situations that he wasn't supposed to win, he won. He says he wants to build Yahweh a house. Nathan said, Elohim is with you. Do what is in your heart. Keep reading.
And it came to pass the same night that the word of Elohim came to Nathan, saying,
Okay. Now Nathan goes to sleep. And here cometh Yahweh. Now he say something else. See? So Nathan said, then Yahweh said. Now if you're going to be a servant of Yahweh, you got to have sense enough to know when you got to go ahead and back that thing up, slap it in reverse. Hey, look here. I had, what had happened was, I had done told you some stuff, and then, but Yahweh had not told it me, and then I got to retold what I had done told when I told you. See, you got to put enough of that pride back to the side and back that thing up. Go ahead.
Go and tell David my servant, Thus saith Yahweh, You shall not build me an house to dwell in.
Right. See, the prophet can't be full of pride, because he's got to know when to back up. When Yahweh says, hey man, you were right on the left, but you were wrong on the right. You got to go back and fix that. Go ahead.
You know, even with us as servants, we ourselves need to learn to back up. Hey, I can tell a brother or sister something and have a conversation with Sock and say, hey, you weren't too right on that. Hey, that's for me to go back and say, hey, bro, you know what? Let's go ahead and correct that. We all got to be able to do that. Even in our households, you might make a decision and realize, you know what? This is not conducive for the family. Right. Look, let's back it up. I was wrong. I was feeling myself. Let's go ahead and make some adjustments.
Absolutely, bro.
Verse 5. For I have not dwelt in an house since the day that I brought up Yisrael unto this day, but have gone from tent to tent, and from one tabernacle to another. Wheresoever I have walked with all Israel, spake I a word to any of the judges of Israel, whom I commanded to feed my people, saying, Why have you not built me an house of cedars? Now therefore thus shall you say unto my servant David.
Now, he giving him a whole lot of stuff to say. He answered that quick. Yahweh answered out that quick. Go ahead.
Thus saith the Yahweh of hosts, I took you from the sheepcote, even from following the sheep, that you should be ruler over my people Israel.
Right, and he was training him with the sheep on how to deal with Israel. See, if you're not paying attention to the things that's going on, you know, you just look and you in a position, oh man, why I got this old nasty job dealing with these old stinking sheep, man. They stink, they stupid. You know what I'm saying? They can't see. A sheep can't see far at all. You know, they listen to your voice and then they'll come, you know. So if you're not paying any attention, you're just saying, why am I even in this old stupid, you know, position that I'm in? Right. It was training for the next one. But see, we want everything right now. And the arrogance of us, we think we're ready for it right now. See, Saul was gone from a regular man to a king, and he was horrible. Absolutely one of the most horrible leaders, would backtrack back and forth, blame the people for stuff that he did. Why? He wasn't trained. Go ahead. That brother told me I like Trump. Go ahead, man.
Verse 8. And I have been with you whithersoever you have walked, and have cut off all your enemies from before you, and have made you a name like the name of the great men that are in the earth.
So the job that he has for him, he fulfilled that job. But that job caused blood to be on his hands. But he did what he was supposed to do. But being able to build a house requires a man who has not shed much blood. Go ahead.
Also I will ordain a place for my people Israel, and will plant them, and they shall dwell in their place, and shall be moved no more. Neither shall the children of wickedness waste them any more, as at the beginning. And since the time that I commanded judges to be over my people Israel, moreover, I will subdue all your enemies. Furthermore, I tell you that Yahweh will build you an house. And it shall come to pass, when your days be expired, that you must go to be with your fathers, that I will raise up your seed after you, which shall be of your sons, and I'll establish his kingdom.
Now, you're going to have to look at this and understand that there is a near prophecy and there is a far prophecy that is happening right now. All right? This seed that comes after him, which shall be of your sons, I will establish his kingdom. Go ahead.
He shall build me a house, and I will establish his throne forever.
There are two things going on in verse 12. Shlomo built the natural house, but Yahshua built the spiritual house. Solomon's house didn't stand forever. This is why the Messiah was called the son of David. All of the kings come out of the loins of David. Go ahead.
I'll be his father, and he shall be my son. And I'll not take my mercy away from him, as I took it from him that was before you.
Right, but it was taken away from Shlomo. So that was the natural house. Solomon built the natural house because he didn't shed blood like his father. His father's job was to unify Israel. It took wars to unify Israel. He did that job that he was supposed to do. So he couldn't build a house. So it was the next seed after him that built the house. But yet, the spiritual house, it still took a while for that seed to come upon the earth. Did you finish that?
Verse 14. But I'll settle him in mine house and in mine kingdom forever, and his throne shall be established forevermore.
Right. This is the King of Kings that we are speaking of. So when people start asking you and start talking about that that there is no Messiah, once again, you got to go right back here. So who is this? Who is this son of David who's going to have an everlasting throne then? Who is it? Because they swear that they got a few verses that prove some things. You need to be able to deal with those things within the Old Testament. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 14. Ezekiel chapter 14, and let's read verses 1 through 11.
Verse 1. Then came certain of the elders of Israel unto me, and sat before me. And the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, these men have set up their idols in their heart, and put the stumbling block of their iniquity before their face. Should I be inquired of at all by them?
These men have set up their idols in their heart, so they don't have a physical idol, whereby it's something that they can walk around with. They have an idol set up in their heart. Let every man examine his own heart to find out what idol we have set up in our heart. And some of those idols are our own selves. Go ahead.
Therefore speak unto them, and say unto them, Thus said the Adonai Elohim, every man of the house of Israel that set up his idols in his heart, and puts the stumbling block of his lawlessness before his face, and comes to the prophet, I, Yahweh, will answer him that comes according to the multitude of his idols.
Right. My elder used to say, be careful, because Yahweh will deceive you. You come with a twisted heart, and he gonna answer you with that same twisted heart that you approached him with. You approach him in deception, and he gonna answer you in deception. See, there's a reason why you have to approach with a pure heart. He's going to answer you according to, and it is amazing because people won't see certain things and they believe that they're getting the right direction. No, you getting how you showed up. You showed up with an angry and a deceitful heart, and he answered you with the same heart that you showed up with. Go ahead.
You know, people come through the door, okay, yeah, I'm getting the truth. But are you also looking at the change? Getting the truth and wanting the change is two different things. You can come here every Shabbat and you're going to hear the truth. But have you decided in your heart that you're actually going to change?
That's $1 million question, bro. That's $1 million question, because understand something. It's comfortable to stay how we are. Staying where you are is a comfort zone. But being made better is uncomfortable. And nobody wants to be uncomfortable. Especially after we turn on the TV and they said, man, I talked to God last night. And he said, you should just sit up and watch the Super Bowl. And eat chips. And drink plenty of beer. That's God said, enjoy your life. Then you got some hairy dude that's telling you, hey man, you need to make some changes. Man, I don't listen to that hairy dude. Look, Pastor Goodword said, you ain't got to change nothing. So automatically they want to listen to Pastor Goodword because everything he says is nice. He is prophesying nothing but good. He is prophesying nothing but clear skies. He said it ain't never going to rain in your life. Yahweh said, if you plan on growing in the flowers, boo-boo, you're going to have to stay in some rain. But Pastor Goodword tell you ain't never going to rain. Yet you keep looking at your neighbor's yard talking about, I want them flowers over there. Well, you got to figure out how you going to get some water over here. Them clear skies you got there ain't going to bring them flowers that's over there. Go ahead.
Ezekiel chapter 14 and verse 5. That I may take the house of Israel in their own heart, because they are all estranged from me through their idols.
I may take the house of Israel in their own heart. See, this got something to do with you and your Elohim. This ain't got nothing to do with you and nobody else. This is you and your heart. Go ahead.
Therefore say unto the house of Israel, thus said the Adonai Yahweh, repent and turn yourselves from your idols, and turn away your faces from all your abominations. For every one of the house of Israel, or of the stranger that sojourneth in Israel, which separateth himself from me.
You see that? Separates himself from me. And we do that with our own actions, whether we know it or not. See, the sin that was done in the garden separated them from Yahweh their Elohim. He said, man, I called you. Adam, where are you? I hid. So you separated yourself then. Well, because I heard you and then I knew I was naked. Who told you you was naked? Did you eat from that tree that I told you not to eat from? But do you understand what happened there? He separated himself and felt justified while he was doing it. Go ahead.
And sets up his idol in his heart, and puts the stumbling block of his lawlessness before his face, and comes to a prophet to inquire of him concerning me, I, Yahweh, will answer him by myself.
Right. Yahweh said, no, I got this. Nuh-uh. I'm going, no. I don't even want you to answer this. I'm going to answer this. You going to come to me with the twisted heart? I'm going to give him an answer so twisted. How you think you got all these people going around? Well, God told me to do such and such. Right. You show up with that twisted heart and you can get a twisted heart answer. Which is going to help you feel justified in all your ill done deeds. All because you approached the wrong way. Go ahead.
And I'll set my face against that man, and will make him a sign and a proverb.
A sign and a proverb. So you're going to be used as an example for other people. Go ahead.
And I'll cut him off from the midst of my people, and you shall know that I am Yahweh. And if the prophet be deceived when he has spoken a thing, I, Yahweh, have deceived that prophet, and I'll stretch out my hand upon him, and will destroy him from the midst of my people Israel.
Right. You have to ask yourself, why would Yahweh take a prophet that he uses and then turn around and deceive him? Man still has free will. Yahweh is a great Elohim with much power, but he didn't force you to serve him. You got the opportunity to choose whatever it is you're going to do, but he's going to deal with you according to whatever decision you make. Go ahead.
And they shall bear the punishment of their lawlessness. The punishment of the prophet shall be even as the punishment of him that seeketh unto him, that the house of Israel may go no more astray from me, neither be polluted any more with all their transgressions, but that they may be my people, and I may be their Elohim, saith the Adonai, Yahweh.
So what we have to understand is this. We have to begin this walk and start to understand these things, but at the end of the day, the children of Israel walking with Yahweh is a family effort. See, it has to begin like it's going now. But what's going to have to happen is we're going to have to walk as a whole. But Yahweh is picking out the children of Israel who he's beginning those things with, just like he did before. But then it comes that time when Israel shall be visited. Because right now, people don't really think about change until they get that knock at the door. You look at some folks in the neighborhood, they got the grass all wild and they got all kind of stuff all out in the yard. They don't come to some good conclusion. You know what? I should clean this property up. But you know when they do? How you doing? This code enforcement? Who? Code enforcement. Your fine gonna be $1,000. You don't clean this place up. I don't watch people go a year and a half without touching their yard, and then you see that little sticker that they put on the door, and boy, the yard get cleaned up so fast. Where they come from? They must just crawled out the earth, and the earth presented a lawnmower to them. Where the hell you get that lawnmower? I ain't seen that lawnmower in 2 years. Where the lawnmower come from? The lawnmower just appeared. What happened in there? Right, visitation. When they got visited, it helps you change. So you keep on doing whatever that is you're doing, but do know there's gonna come a day when you get this. And we're gonna see if you can keep that attitude and that way that you got when you get that knock at the door. Whole lot of people, man, I ain't worried about no paperwork, such and such. And then the IRS send you that little letter. And if you ain't never got that one of them IRS letters, you ain't never got no letter. You ain't never got no letter till you got. I done got one of them IRS letters before. I'm trying to tell you. You ain't never got no letter till you got one of them IRS letters. Woo! I'm talking about you can't see nothing else when the IRS letter. You don't see nothing but once you see IRS, everything else slow down. It's like the Matrix. Everything else stop, Jack. It be stuff on the TV right in front of you. You can't even see it. Because you're trying to figure out exactly what is Iris talking about. You going line by, I'm talking about, you going to read this letter like you ain't never read no letter ever before in your life. Now, you digging up paperwork that you said, just throw that on the, up under the bed. Now everything under the bed coming out. No, I had a receipt around here. Wait a minute, now you ain't caring about none of that stuff before you got this. Right. Visitation changes things. So if you ain't got that knock at the door yet, you don't feel like you got to change, don't worry. Everybody gets one of these sooner or later. Now you're going to be ready when that knock comes at that door. That's the question. Go ahead, bro. That was it. Let's go to 1 Kings chapter 13. But see, what we have to understand too is Yahweh not trying to kill you with the knock at the door. The knock at the door ushers in change to your life. And it ain't comfortable. What growth ever is. There's a reason why they say, oh man, child whining, saying they just feel funny. What's wrong with you? They call it growing pains. Why do you think they call it growing pains? You want to grow, but you don't want to have no pain. So then you just want to stay the same little spiritual short person. You want to be a 40-year-old 2-foot person. That ain't going to work. That ain't going to work. Hey, bro, did you ever go through puberty? What the hell? Why are you still 2 feet? Because I ain't want to go through no pain. That ain't going to work. 1 Kings chapter 13, and let's start that at verse 7.
And the king said unto the man of Elohim, come home with me, and refresh yourself, and I'll give you a reward. And the man of Elohim said unto the king, if you will give me half your house, I'll not go in with you. Neither will I eat bread nor drink water in this place.
Right. Now, this starts out really good. This man is proclaiming, because Yahweh has said thus, no matter what you say, I'm not going to go and eat bread or drink water in this place, because that was what I was given. So what we have to see is, what all does it take for us to go against Yahweh? Go ahead.
For so is it charged me by the word of Yahweh, saying, eat no bread nor drink water, nor turn again by the same way that you cameth. So he went another way, and returned not by the way that he came to Bethel.
Right. So he followed that part. He said, don't go, don't leave out the same way you came, go out another way. He did that. And he was told, don't go and eat or drink water in this place. And he has done that. So he batting 1,000. Go ahead.
Now there dwelt an old prophet in Bethel, and his sons came and told him all the works of the man of Elohim, that the man of Elohim had done that day in Bethel. The words which he had spoken unto the king, them they told also to their father. And their father said unto them, what way went he? For his sons had seen what way the man of Elohim went, which came from Yehuda. And he said unto his sons, saddle me the ass. So they saddled him the ass, and he rode thereon. And went after the man of Elohim, and found him sitting under an oak. And he said unto him, are you the man of Elohim that came from Yehuda? And he said, I am. Then he said unto him, come home with me and eat bread.
Now, you have to first of all listen to, the things that are said. Are you the man of Elohim that came from Yehuda? And he said, I am. Then he says, come home with me and eat bread. Understand, he was told not to go and eat in that place. Go ahead.
And he said, I may not return with you, nor go in with you.
Now, so he understands his instructions. Go ahead.
Neither will I eat bread nor drink water with you in this place. For it was said to me by the word of Yahweh, you shall eat no bread nor drink water there, nor turn again to go by the way that you came. He said unto him, I am a prophet also as you are.
Now that right there just done got. That's all it takes. Right there. Well, see, I'm the master prophet. See, you kind of like an under prophet. See, but I'm the head prophet. I'm a prophet too. And then it says he was an old prophet. See, so because we had this little respect, oh, he's an elder. Yeah, you got old fools too. You got old fools, you got young fools, you got skinny fools, you got fat fools, you got all kind of fools. Go ahead.
And an angel spake unto me by the word of Yahweh.
And how many times we done heard that? And God spoke to me last night. You better stop listening, fool. Go ahead.
And you see, he had enough sense to say, angel spoke to me, not the Yahweh spoke to me.
Right.
Because had he said, Yahweh spoke to me, that man would have been, get away from me.
But see, here's one that you didn't catch. In verse 14, he says, are you the man of Elohim that came from Yehuda? Hell, if you're a prophet, you supposed to already know who the hell I am. What are you asking me for? You supposed to be telling me you're a prophet, right? See, you need to learn how to notice slick liars when you see them. Are you the man, the prophet that came from Yehuda? You tell me. What you asking me for? If you supposed to be a prophet, tell me where I came from. Matter of fact, tell me where I'm going. Go ahead.
And an angel spake unto me by the word of Yahweh, saying, bring him back with you into your house, that he may eat bread and drink water. But he lied unto him.
Right. And see, this have to be a message for sisters right here, because y'all love them slick liars. Oh my goodness, y'all just love them. Them slick. The church full of women. Why you think that is? They love them slick lying, fake prophets. They love them. And this will get y'all into bad relationships, listening to some slick lie promising you stuff that he couldn't possibly give you. I'm going to give you the moon and stuff. Baby, that's not his stuff. Baby, that's not his. No, that's Yahweh's stuff right there. But he can't give you that. He can't give you somebody else's stuff. I might as well promise you Barack truck. I'm going to give you Barack truck. I'm going to give you Eli L car. Kid's son got a motorcycle. I'm going to give you that. And I can't be giving you somebody else's stuff. Go ahead.
Verse 19. So he went back with him and did eat bread in his house and drank water. And it came to pass, as they sat at the table, that the word of Yahweh came unto the prophet that brought him back.
So he got lied to. Now, by proclaiming, this man was proclaiming that he was speaking, for Yahweh. Now, he really gets to speak through Yahweh. Go ahead. Or Yahweh is going to speak through the lying prophet. Go ahead.
And he cried unto the man of Elohim that came from Yehuda, saying, thus saith Yahweh, for as much as you have disobeyed the mouth of Yahweh, and have not kept the commandment which Yahweh your El commanded you, but came back and have eaten bread and drunk water in the place of which Yahweh did say to you, eat no bread and drink no water, your carcass shall not come onto the sepulchre of your fathers.
Right. Because now you've trusted in a man that has spoken. So now you have an idol in your heart, because you have now allowed some man to give you something different than what Yahweh your Elohim told you. And people do it every week. The book say one thing, but some slick liar say something else. They go with the slick liar. But there's a heavier weight placed upon a man who's supposed to already be a servant. See, this judgment won't happen to us right away, depending on what your job is. No, this man had a job to do, and he understands the direction of Yahweh. But there was a little idol there that he was able to allow some man to tell him. When my elder passed, I watched people believe that. Now, these are people that were taught in the same room that I was taught in. Yet they believe that the spirit of my elder went into the next dude who was coming behind him. Said, man, now what the hell book y'all got that out of? Because I didn't read that one. I don't know how y'all got that one. Then they let that man tell them all these things to sell their houses, sell their possessions. So they had to look. Meanwhile, you got, and I couldn't have been the only one. There was other people saying it. Hey man, he crazy. They had to lose all their stuff and then figure out, you know what, man? He crazy. I told you that while you still had your house and your car. Now you realize he crazy, but you on the bus. Go ahead, man.
Verse 23. And it came to pass after he had eaten bread and after he had drunk that he saddled for him the ass, to wit, for the prophet whom he had brought back. And when he was gone, a lion met him by the way and slew him, and his carcass was cast in the way, and the ass stood by it. The lion also stood by the carcass. And behold, men passed by and saw the carcass cast in the way, and the lion standing by the carcass.
So the lion just kill him and stay there. But he don't finish eating him, and he don't eat the ass either. He just standing there. Go ahead.
And they came and told it in the city where the old prophet dwelt. And when the prophet that brought him back from the way heard thereof, he said, It is the man of Elohim who was disobedient unto the word of Yahweh. Therefore Yahweh has delivered him unto the lion, which has torn him and slain him, according to the word of Yahweh, which he spake unto him. And he spake to his sons, saying, Saddle me the ass. And they saddled him. And he went and found his carcass cast in the way, and the ass and the lion standing by the carcass. The lion had not eaten the carcass, nor torn the ass.
Right. He only did the job that he was supposed to. Look, the lion was more obedient than the prophet. The lion didn't keep going. See, that's that thing where sometimes we in a situation and we take the thing too far. We understand, okay, it's the Sabbath, but man, I'm about to run out of gas. Gotta go get gas. You ain't just gonna sit there and let your mule run out of fuel. But then we standing in the front. You know what? Let me get that Snicker bar. I really want that. You know what? That Snicker bar, that chocolate, man, that's peanuts and nougat. Oh my God, that's delicious. Hey man, hey bruh, what you need was gas, bruh. What they gotta do with that Snicker bar, man? That ain't got nothing to do with that Snicker bar. But see, now since we in the store and we feeling the feeling, I got that feeling. See, I got that feeling. That Snicker bar look delicious. And Lucifer know he gonna make that Snicker bar look absolute. It's gonna be like a commercial in your ear. Cream and nougat. Right? You ain't never even thought about cream and nougat before until you get in the store on the Saturday and you ain't supposed to be in there. Right? The adversary know how to mess with you. Let's go to First Samuel chapter 8. 1 Samuel chapter 8. Yeah, Lou know how to taunt you. And them companies pay to have their stuff sitting at the register. Don't think that that stuff is just sitting at the register because they decide. No, people pay for that. That's premium placement. That's called placement. To place that stuff right by the door. So you standing in the aisle at Walmart and your kid worries the absolute crap out of you because they done put all this candy right there in the aisle. Now you done went all over this store. And now you just waiting in the line and your kid, hey daddy, shut up boy. But daddy, it's cream and nougat. Shut up man. And before you know it, now they see something else. Then they got little toys. They put all that stuff there for a reason. And half the time kids end up getting it because they worry the absolute crap out of you. And you look, just get the little blow pop and shut up. And get one for your sister. Go ahead.
1 Samuel chapter 8 and verse 1. And it came to pass, when Samuel was old, that he made his sons judges over Israel. Now the name of his firstborn was Joel, and the name of the second, Abiah. They were judges in Beersheba. And his sons walked not in his ways, but turned aside after lucre, and took bribes and perverted judgment.
Sound just like the normal church. Go ahead.
Then all the elders of Yeshua gathered themselves together and came to Samuel unto Ramah, and said unto him, Behold, you are old, and your sons walk not in your ways. Now make us a king to judge us like all the nations.
Right. So now there's a situation, but instead of wanting those prophets removed or have somebody else put in, now they want the whole thing changed up. Now they want a king. But Yahweh is their king. Go ahead.
But the thing displeased Samuel when they said, Give us a king to judge us. And Samuel prayed unto Yahweh. And Yahweh said unto Samuel, Hearken unto the voice of the people in all that they say unto you, for they have not rejected you, but they have rejected me, that I should not reign over them. According to all the works which they have done since the day that I brought them up out of Egypt, even unto this day, wherewith they have forsaken me, and served other gods, so do they also unto you.
Right. And we have never considered that all of these so-called holidays that we partake in are worship days for other gods. The Euro Gentiles, they conquered lands and they took gods. If they wanted something, it was nice, they took it. So a lot of people are walking around thinking that, you know, their Christmas is an actual valid holiday. It didn't even come from the Gentiles. The Gentiles stole that from the Africans. They invade something, they like that God, they take it. So people actually think that they're worshiping the birth of Christ, and they're worshiping all kind of pagan gods. Go ahead.
Verse 9. Now therefore hearken unto their voice, howbeit yet protest solemnly unto them, and show them the manner of king that shall reign over them.
Now this is where Israel has a power with Yahweh, and you have that power mixed with free will, that even though Yahweh as a father knows that what you are asking for is not conducive to what it is that you are trying to do, if you insist, he'll let you have it. Dad, I want a motorcycle. Son, you don't know how to ride a bicycle. But I got to have this motorcycle. Everybody got a motorcycle. I want a motorcycle. All right, if he insists. Go ahead.
And Samuel told all the words of Yahweh unto the people that asked of him a king. And he said, This will be the manner of the king that shall reign over you.
Right. So this is what's going to happen now. And you can do this time and time again as people decide what they're going to do, decide how they're going to deal with situations. You can tell them over and over, I'm telling you what's going to happen. This is how things going to play out. Nevertheless, they ain't going to listen to you, but you have to tell them. Go ahead.
He will take your sons and appoint them for himself, for his chariots, and to be his horsemen, and some shall run before his chariots. And he will appoint him captains over thousands, and captains over 50s, and will set them to ear his ground, and to reap his harvest, and to make his instruments of war, and instruments of his chariots. And he will take your daughters to be confectionaries, and to be cooks, and to be bakers. And he will take your fields, and your vineyards, and your olive yards, even the best of them, and give them to his servants. And he will take the tenth of your seed, and of your vineyards, and give it to his officers, and to his servants. And he will take your men servants, and your maid servants, and your goodliest young men, and your asses, and put them to his work. He will take the tenth of your sheep, and you shall be his servants. And you shall cry out in that day because of your king, which you shall have chosen you. And Yahweh will not hear you in that day.
Right. And you shall cry out in that day because of your king, which you shall have chosen. This is what you asked for. This is what you insisted on. This is what I'm going to give you. But do understand, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. But ultimately, the decision is still yours. Go ahead.
Nevertheless, the people refused to obey the voice of Samuel, and they said, No, but we will have a king over us.
Yeah. Thank you for all that information, man, about, you know what I'm saying, what's going to happen and all that. You know, I know what you being a prophet and everything. But look here, bro. We want a king. Thank you for telling us that. That was nice. That sounded really good. But we want what we want. Go ahead.
That we also may be like all the nations, and that our king may judge us, and go out before us and fight our battles.
Right. And that's what we want. We want to look like all the rest of the nations. We want the protection of Yahweh. We want to be covered under the blood of the Lamb, but we want to go out there and still look like everybody else. We want to still walk like everybody else. We want to still talk like everybody else. We don't want to show that we are different out there. Then Yahweh like, what kind of schizophrenic believers is this? Are they Hebrews or what y'all? So the angel of Yahweh approach you out in the street. Will he even know who you are? Go ahead.
And Samuel heard all the words of the people and rehearsed them in the ears of Yahweh. And Yahweh said unto Samuel, hearken unto their voice, and make them a king. And Samuel said unto the men of Israel, go you every man unto his city.
Hearken unto the voice of them. See, part of all of these things, and even going through these stories, you have to, in learning how Yahweh deals with you, you have to go through some of these things and see how Yahweh has dealt with other situations. That there was actually instructions, there was a understanding there of what was going to happen, yet they still chose what they chose. So you have to understand how Yahweh deals with things. Let's go to Luke chapter 15. See, this is where the power of Israel works against Israel. Because see, now they're praying in a common direction. They're asking the prophet for the same thing. They are asking for a king. And although Yahweh said, let them know what's going to happen to him, nonetheless, go ahead and give it to him. Luke chapter 15, and let's start that at verse 11, and we're going to read that from 11 to 32.
And he said, a certain man had 2 sons. And the younger of them said to his father, Father, give me the portion of good that falleth to me. And he divided unto them his living.
Now, it says, and the younger of them said to his father, give me the portion of goods that falleth to me. So he wants his inheritance right now. Now, we already know it's not customary for the younger to receive anything before the older. So he is asked, go ahead and give me mine now. Go ahead.
And not many days after, the younger son gathered all together and took his journey into a far country, and there wasted his substance with riotous living.
Now he's wasted his substance with riotous living. Understand something. In verse 12, it automatically goes to, he asked for the portion of the goods that belongs to him. The very next sentence said, and he divided unto him his living. Now you got to know, this is probably something that this father has heard some time, for him to just ask one time, give me my inheritance, and he giving it to him. He just automatically, all right, this is what you want. Here go, all that is yours, here it is. Go ahead.
And when he had spent all, there arose a mighty famine in that land, and he began to be in want. And he went and joined himself to a citizen of that country, and he sent him into his fields to feed swine. And he would fain have filled his belly with the husk that the swine did eat, and no man gave unto him.
Swine eat trash and leftover food. They eat anything. They are animal garbage disposal. That's what they are. We ain't supposed to have to throw away trash. The pig's supposed to eat it. The problem is the people eating the pig. So you might as well just go do like a raccoon and just slam your head into a trash can and eat out of it when you decide that you're going to eat some pork. Go ahead.
And when he came to himself, he said, how many hired servants of my father's have bread enough and to spare, and I perish with hunger? I will arise and go to my father, and will say unto him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you, and I am no more worthy to be called your son. Make me as one of your hired servants. And he arose and came to his father. But when he was yet a great way off, his father saw him, and had compassion, and ran, and fell on his neck, and kissed him. And the son said unto him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and in your sight, and am no more worthy to be called your son. But the father said to his servants, Bring forth the best robe, and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand, and shoes on his feet. And bring hither the fatted calf, and kill it, and let us eat, and be merry. For this my son was dead, and is alive again. He was lost, and is found. And they began to be merry.
For this my son was dead, and is alive again. He knew that when he gave him his substance. But he asked for it. Here you go. You this is what you want? Here you go. But he knew what this is. When you got people that have been through things, they already know, all right, you gonna have this. I had money when I was young. And I'm talking about, man, I must have had gasoline and matches. Because I'm talking about, boy, I burnt that money so fast. I must just walk around with gas and matches. What was that? That was about $1,000 over there. What was that? That was about $5,000 right there. I don't know where. I don't even know where the receipts at. I don't even know where the money went, Jack. When you get older, you don't burn money like that. You don't burn money like that. You a little bit more careful with what you're doing with your living when you get a little older. Go ahead.
You know, even with this situation, some of us do the same thing. We've got to wait till we down and destitute before we'll pick ourselves back up and come for help.
You got it.
You realize he's at the point he don't even have shoes.
He at the point that he gonna eat out of where the hogs eat. Bro, you understand how nasty that is? If you ever been in the country, you know that you can tell where they got animals at when the gnats start crawling all over your face. You be like, somebody around here got no animals. There's some hogs around here. Well, they got them hogs at, and then the folk who used to it in the country, the gnat just be walking all over the house. I be like, hey, bro, I know you see that gnat. Get right there in your eyeball. Hey, bro, you just want to hit the brother foot. Brother, please, man. Come on, get the gnat, man. It's right there, brother, right there. And they just walk around there, and he just talking to you. Yeah, man, you want to go play basketball? Nah, bro, I can't play nothing because that gnat is bothering me that's in your face. How are you accustomed to that gnat just walking all around in your face? And they just be walking around, but they used to it because they live right around there by them hogs. And they don't say a thing. I'm going to beat myself to death down there. It's like, bro, what's wrong with you? I'm from the city. I'm not used to them little gnats all around my face like that. And they just talking. This is what he became accustomed to. There's something wrong with that. Go ahead.
Verse 25. Now his eldest son was in the field, and as he came and drew near to the house, he heard music and dancing. And he called one of the servants and asked him what these things meant. And he said unto him, Your brother is come, and your father hath killed the fatted calf, because he has received him safe and sound. And he was angry and would not go in.
Now we got sibling rivalry. Now we got a problem between the family members. Go ahead.
Therefore came his father out and entreated him. And he answering said to his father, Lo, these many years do I serve you, neither transgressed I at any time your commandment. And yet you never gave me a kid that I might make merry with my friends.
You ain't made no party for me. You ain't said nice things for me. And then soon as this, your son come, the one who done wasted all his inheritance with whores, now you won't throw him a party. Well, you ain't ever said no nice stuff about me. When you gonna throw me a party? Go ahead.
But as soon as this your son is come, which has devoured your living with harlots, you have killed for him the fatted calf. And he said unto him, Son, you are ever with me, and all that I have is yours.
All that I have is yours. That's the firstborn. He get a double portion. But what he worried about is what he got right now. Go ahead.
It was meet that we should make merry and be glad. For this your brother was dead, and is alive again, and was lost, and is found.
All right, let's go to Jeremiah chapter 1. But hey, if you ask for something, even if you insist, Yahweh can know that it's not good for you. But I tell you what, the strength and the position that Yahweh, that the children of Israel have with Yahweh, he'll get to you. But you're not going to like what happens. But he'll get to you though. There's something about wanting and desiring something, and then there's something else about having the will of Yahweh's will for your life. That's why it says Moshe was the meekest man on the earth. He accepted Yahweh's will for his life. That's why Yahweh wouldn't allow, somebody to sit there and question this man. Sit there and question who he married. Wait a minute. Yahweh done made this man a fugitive, sent him out of one country, then sent him back into the place where he was a fugitive. He done had to stay 40 years in a strange place. Then come out of there and then get constantly tested by the children of Israel as he leads them back out. And you think he gonna sit there and let you question this man? And he done changed this man's life several times over. You know how accustomed we get to something? He let this man stay somewhere 40 years. You stay somewhere 40 years and then tell your woman, hey, we got to get up and go. No, we been here 40 years. We not going, Pookie, we not leaving her. We not leaving her. Now you got to fight with your woman? You got to do all that 40 years? Probably take us is 40 days and we like, this is it. This is what we going to be right here. This is it. 40 days. You try 40 years and tell your folk you going to move. See what happened to you. Go ahead, bro. Jeremiah chapter 1.
The words of Yirmiah the son of Hilkiah, of the priests that were in Anathoth, in the land of Benjamin, to whom the word of Yahweh came in the days of Josiah, the son of Amon, king of Yehudah, in the 13th year of his reign. It came also in the days of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Yehudah, unto the end of the 11th year of Zedekiah, the son of Josiah, king of Yehudah, unto the carrying away of Jerusalem captive in the 5th month. Then the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Before I formed you in the belly, I knew you, and before you cometh forth out of the womb, I sanctified you, and I ordained you a prophet unto the nations. Then said I, Adonai Yahweh, behold, I cannot speak, for I am a child. But Yahweh said unto me, Say not, I am a child, for you shall go to all that I shall send you, and whatsoever I command you, you shall speak.
So now he's getting direction on how to deal with these things when he encounters certain situations. Go ahead.
Be not afraid of their faces, for I am with you to deliver you, saith Yahweh.
Now, these are very, very good instructions. Because let me tell you something. It's not like he's going to give them these great prophecies. When Samuel went to a place, the people got afraid when he got there. Like, man, what you come here for? The people were scared. He said, no, I didn't come for, no bad reason. Normally, by the time you see the prophet, it's normally not good. Because he's there to give you a word of Yahweh. And here's the thing. If you're doing what you're supposed to be doing 9 times out of 10, your manager or the boss don't show up talking about, hey, tell Shaquita to come to my office. Why you need to come there for? Right. Normally, if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, you don't get called out. So when the prophets show up, it's not a good thing. So they was worried when the prophet showed up. So this normally lets you know that this is Yahweh giving that particular city or that particular group of people a last opportunity to change their ways. And when that's the kind of message that you're bringing, understand the prophets didn't just walk around and say nice stuff. Normally everything they said was a thing of judgment, because it is your last opportunity to change before him upstairs send somebody to whoop your tail. So if you waiting for that stuff that you see on Sunday morning, you got another thing coming. That's not what the prophet does. He don't just go around. So Yahweh just gonna send somebody to just go around saying good thing. Hey, brother, blessed art thou. Yeah, all right. Hey, kid. Yahweh says good tidings to you. All right. Malachi, what's good? Yahweh says what's up, bro? What are you sending the brother all the way around to do that for? You know it's all right with you when you wake up in the morning. All right, you woke up then? All right, you all right. Go ahead.
Jeremiah chapter 1 and verse 9. Then Yahweh put forth his hand and touched my mouth. And Yahweh said unto me, Behold, I have put my words in your mouth.
Right. Now these are Yahweh's words. And Yahweh ain't going around speaking a whole bunch of niceties to everybody. No, he's giving them the opportunity to change their life before visitation happens. Go ahead.
See, I have this day set you over the nations and over the kingdoms, to root out and to pull down and to destroy and to throw down, to build and to plant.
That don't really sound nice to me. That don't sound like he just went to a bunch of cities handing out flowers. Go ahead.
Moreover, the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Jeremiah, what seeth you?
So now, he's testing the vision. Now, he's preparing this brother for certain things. Go ahead.
And I said, I see a rod of an almond tree. Then said Yahweh unto me, You have well seen, for I will hasten my word to perform it.
Right. So now, as Yahweh is training this brother, now he's showing the brother certain things. Now tell me what you see. So now, then Yahweh turns around and says something after he has shown him this thing. So 6 months down the line, when Yahweh wanted to say that particular thing, he give that brother that vision. Now he already know. Now he don't need a whole bunch of explanation. Now he know what this thing means when he sees it again. See, a bad servant is one you got to keep talking to. You got to keep giving them, you got to explain to them why you need to do this. Why we doing this? What time we got to do this? Yeah. Everybody liked the Jeffersons. Florence was an absolute horrible servant. Because she needed constant understand. Hey, it's time to get the dough. Why I need to do that? Somebody at the door, you the servant. Go answer the door. It was constant wordplay that had to keep happening. So within this training, now he's seeing certain things. He's not going to have to keep starting back over and explaining the same thing that's already been explained before. See, that's what makes us not good servants at times. Yahweh done already showed us something. Now we want Yahweh to start back from scratch. Because at the time we won't be listening. That's why we can't follow instructions. You can't follow instructions that you didn't hear. Go ahead.
Verse 13. And the word of Yahweh came unto me the second time, saying, What seeth you? And I said, I see a seething pot, and the face thereof is toward the north. Then Yahweh said unto me, Out of the north an evil shall break forth upon all the inhabitants of the land.
So, if the next time that brother go in the land and he see a seething pot, but it's toward the south, now he already know, hey man, destruction coming from the south. Now y'all ain't got to sit here and have this conversation. Okay, this is what we're going to do. Now I want you to go down to such and such. No, all you got to do is show him a seething pot. And show him from which direction the seething pot coming. Now he already know it's destruction and which area it's coming from. Boom, done deal. Then we got to have a whole bunch of conversation. Ain't got to be sitting here holding your hand. Hey, let's put these training wheels on and then I'm going to show you. No! You understand what I showed you before, right? Go ahead.
For lo, I will call all the families of the kingdoms of the north, saith Yahweh, and they shall come, and they shall set every one his throne at the entering of the gates of Jerusalem, and against all the walls thereof round about, and against all the cities of Yehuda. And I'll utter my judgments against them, touching all their wickedness, who have forsaken me, and have burnt incense unto other gods, and worshipped the works of their own hands. You therefore gird up your loins and arise, and speak unto them all that I commanded you. Be not dismayed at their faces, lest I confound you before them. For, behold, I have made you this day a defense city, and an iron pillar and brazen walls against the whole land, against the kings of Yehuda, against the princes thereof, against the priests thereof, and against the people of the land. And they shall fight against you, but they shall not prevail against you, for I am with you, says Yahweh, to deliver you.
All right, let's go to Jeremiah chapter 23. And we're going to start that at verse 1. Eli, turn it down. Like about 7. It's not even on now. It's not on yet. Is it on? No. Just turn it on.
Jeremiah chapter 23 and verse 1. Woe be unto the pastures that destroy and scatter the sheep of my pasture, saith Yahweh. Therefore thus said Yahweh Elohim of Israel against the pastors that feed my people. You have scattered my flock and driven them away, and have not visited them. Behold, I will visit upon you the evil of your doings, saith Yahweh. And I'll gather the remnant of my flock out of all the countries whither I have driven them, and will bring them again to their folds, and they shall be fruitful and increase. And I'll set up my shepherds over them, which shall feed them, and they shall fear no more, nor be dismayed, neither shall they be lacking, saith Yahweh.
Right, I will set up shepherds over them which shall feed them. So they're not going to go around and say a whole bunch of stuff that they like to hear. They're going to feed them with food that is necessary for their spiritual enrichment. See, you can feed somebody a bunch of junk. See, if you going to let the kids dictate, you know, folks be asking kids, so what you want to eat tonight? What you think? McDonald's? What you want to eat tomorrow night? McDonald's. They gonna choose McDonald's every night. If you gonna turn around and let them choose, ain't no nourishment in that. So Yahweh ain't sending nobody to feed you McDonald's every night. Ain't no nourishment in that. Yahweh, if Yahweh is directing the meal, he's directing something that's going to have you spiritually fortified. And that ain't saying everything that you like to hear. Because there's some things that is beneficial for your life that you ain't going to want to hear at the time that it's said to you. But you'll appreciate it later. When you look at all these other people and things are happening to them, but that didn't happen to you. Then you're going to appreciate them things that you didn't like hearing at the time that it was said to you. Go ahead.
Verse 5. Behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that I will raise unto David a righteous branch, and a king shall reign and prosper, and shall execute judgment and justice in the earth.
And you have to ask these Old Testament brothers, who is this talking about? Who is this talking about? All you Old Testament dudes who don't believe in no Messiah, who is this branch that they keep talking about? We go in all the prophets and we keep reading about this person. Who are they talking about? Since y'all don't believe in no Messiah, there are too many other places. And that's why you have them little 6 people who be, you know, gathering up to try to jump on people. They trying to find somebody who don't really understand the word. And if I really had the time, I would have tied one of my hands behind my back and tore up all 6 of them. But I ain't really had time. Because that's what they like to do. They like to jump on new people who don't know no better. And what they do is they discourage those people in the word because they hadn't been in the word long enough. And they think that these people understand something. Because they might use a few Hebrew words, you know. They speak a little Hebrew. So they're making people think that they're more intelligent than they are. See? And they're beating up on new people. And the little stuff that they were saying, man, I could have tore that stuff up 8 different times. But what I did notice is nobody jumped in the conversation. That means I ain't have nobody to say. So that means the fools were just talking amongst themselves. You don't jump in a fool conversation. You can't save the fools when it's all the fools themselves. No, you wait until some unsuspecting person jumps into that and they're getting slayed with the wrong word. Then you get in. Don't jump in a conversation with fools. That's their conversation. That's them. They're already on one accord. And you're not going to change their view. It was all a setup. And all I had to do was wait and watch as each one of them popped out. And then you find out that the fake question really wasn't a question at all. It was an invitation to a fight. And all you have to do sometimes is wait. Go ahead.
Jeremiah chapter 23 and verse 6. In his days Yehudah shall be saved, and Yisrael shall dwell safely.
Wait a minute. In this branch, this branch that's out of the loins of David, it's in this time that Israel is going to be saved. You have to ask these old covenant brothers, well, who are they talking about, man? You keep talking about there's no Messiah. And Israel ain't been saved far as I know. We still scattered all across the globe, still going through the same things. So then, somebody's supposed to be coming then. Go ahead.
And this is his name whereby he shall be called, Yahweh our righteousness. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that they shall no more say, Yahweh lives, which brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. But Yahweh lives, which brought up and which led the seed of the house of Israel out of the north country, and from all countries wherewith I had driven them, and they shall dwell in their own land. Mine heart within me is broken because of the prophets. All my bones shake. I am like a drunken man, and like a man whom wine has overcome, because of Yahweh, and because of the words of his holiness. For the land is full of adulterers, for because of swearings the land mourneth. The pleasant places of the wilderness are dried up, and their courses is evil, and their force is not right. For both prophet and priest are profane. Yes, in my house have I found their wickedness, saith Yahweh.
Right. A profane prophet and priest say the things that people like to hear. See, that's the stuff that we're accustomed to on Sunday morning, where they say a whole bunch of nice things to us and wait for the money to show up. See, that's what we're accustomed to. That's profaneness. See, everybody smile at you ain't your friend, and everybody frown at you ain't your enemy. Go ahead.
Wherefore their way shall be unto them as slippery ways in the darkness. They shall be driven on, and fall therein. For I will bring evil upon them, even the year of their visitation, saith Yahweh. And I have seen folly in the prophets of Samaria. They prophesied in Baal, and caused my people Israel to err. I have seen also in the prophets of Jerusalem an horrible thing. They commit adultery, and walk in lies. They strengthen also the hands of evildoers, that none does return from his wickedness. They are all of them unto me as Sodom, and the inhabitants thereof as Gomorrah.
They strengthen the hands of the evildoers, that none returns from his wickedness. So by agreeing with them and saying a bunch of niceties, you then help them people stay evil because you are justifying it. Go ahead.
Therefore thus saith Yahweh of hosts concerning the prophets, Behold, I will feed them with wormwood, and make them drink the water of gall. For from the prophets of Jerusalem is profaneness gone forth into all the land. Thus saith the Yahweh of hosts, Hearken not unto the words of the prophets that prophesy unto you. They make you vain. They speak a vision of their own heart, and not out of the mouth of Yahweh. They say still unto them that despise me, Yahweh hath said, You shall have peace.
And that's what we all want to hear. We want to hear a bunch of nice things. Go ahead.
And they say unto everyone that walketh after the imagination of his own heart, No evil shall come upon you. For who hath stood in the counsel of Yahweh, and has perceived and heard his word? Who hath marked his word, and heard it? Behold, a whirlwind of Yahweh is gone forth in fury, even a grievous whirlwind. It shall fall grievously upon the head of the wicked. The anger of Yahweh shall not return until he have executed, until he have performed the thoughts of his heart. In the latter days you shall consider it perfectly. I have not sent these prophets, yet they ran.
Right. And you got them little kung fu brothers on the corner with they little Bruce Lee outfits and their megaphone, telling you that they are prophets because they reading out of the book. Yahweh, I ain't sitting there. How they get to be a prophet? Oh yeah, all you gotta do is read. So everybody who know how to read is a prophet. This book don't agree with that. He said he got priests, teachers, evangelists. Are all prophets? No. Are all teachers? No. So how can everybody who read out of the prophets become a prophet? But see, that twisted doctrine, and then them brothers gonna come up to you like an army, because it's gonna be 8, 9, 10 of them at one time, trying to all tell you this same doctrine. And just because you hear a lie 10 times over, it don't make it the truth. It make a lie that you've heard 10 times. Go ahead.
I have not spoken to them, yet they prophesied. But if they had stood in my counsel, and had caused my people to hear my words, then they should have turned them from their evil way and from the evil of their doing.
Right, and people ain't gonna like you while you're trying to turn them from their evil ways now. Don't understand, don't get this misunderstood. Don't think that, the prophets were a bunch of liked people. Don't misunderstand what's going on here. See, you see that stuff that you see on TV about all these people giving their little prophecies and all these things. That's make-believe. That's like cartoon. When they drop the anvil on the people's head and boom, and in the cartoon they get back up. That's fake. When you deal with these real prophets, they didn't like to hear the stuff that they had to say. Go ahead.
Am I a El at hand, saith Yahweh, and not a El afar off? Can any hide himself in secret places that I shall not see him? Said Yahweh, do not I fill heaven and earth, saith Yahweh. I have heard what the prophet said, that prophesy lies in my name, saying, I have dreamed, I have dreamed. Mm-hmm. How long shall this be in the heart of the prophets that prophesy lies? Yes, they are prophets of the deceit of their own heart.
They are prophets of the deceit of their own heart. But people love to hear it. Go ahead.
Which think to cause my people to forget my name by their dreams, which they tell every man to his neighbor, as their fathers have forgotten my name for Baal.
Right. All you hear is the Lord. Ask the person who's supposed to be so spiritual. Well, what's his name? Well, he has many names. That's not what my book say. Go ahead.
Verse 28. The prophet that has a dream, let him tell a dream. And he that has my word, let him speak my word faithfully. What is the shaft to the wheat? Saith Yahweh. Is not my word like as a fire? Saith Yahweh. And like a hammer that breaks the rock in pieces? Therefore, behold, I am against the prophets, saith Yahweh, that steal my words every one from his neighbor. Behold, I am against the prophets, saith Yahweh, that use their tongues and say, He saith.
I spoke to the Lord last night. And God said, right? Go ahead.
Behold, I am against them that prophesy false dreams, saith Yahweh, and do tell them, and cause my people to err by their lies, and by their lightness. Yet I sent them not, nor commanded them. Therefore they shall not profit this people at all, saith Yahweh. And when this people, or the prophet, or a priest, shall ask you, saying, What is the burden of Yahweh? You shall then say unto them, What burden? And I will even forsake you, saith Yahweh. And as for the prophet, and the priest, and the people that shall say, The burden of Yahweh, I will even punish that man and his house. Thus shall you say, every one to his neighbor, and every one to his brother, What has Yahweh answered? And what has Yahweh spoken? And the burden of Yahweh shall you mention no more, for every man's word shall be his burden. For you have perverted the words of the living Elohim, of Yahweh, of hosts, our El.
Right. This is the reason why in the beginning he said, don't be afraid of the looks on their faces. See, when you consider the looks on their faces, now people don't want to fully give the word because they're worried, okay, this may upset them, so I'm going to make this a little lighter. But you're making their judgment heavier because you have not fully given them the truth, because you worried about the look on their face. You worried about them being hurt right now. them being hurt right now, it's better for them to be hurt right now and saved later than to feel good right now and be cast into the lake of fire later. Go ahead.
Jeremiah chapter 23 and verse 37. Thus shall you say to the prophet, what has Yahweh answered you? And what has Yahweh spoken? But since you say, the burden of Yahweh, therefore thus said Yahweh, because you say this word, the burden of Yahweh, and I have sent unto you, saying, you shall not say the burden of Yahweh, therefore, behold, I, even I, will utterly forget you, and I'll forsake you, and the city that I gave you and your fathers, and cast you out of my presence. And I'll bring an everlasting reproach upon you, and a perpetual shame which shall not be forgotten.
You see, it's a heavier weight for the children of Israel to deal with this word in an incorrect manner. Because it was given to Israel, a heavier weight is placed upon us than anybody else. And we can't figure out why we suffer more than anybody else. We can't figure out why we get punished more than anybody else. It's a heavier weight on you. Let's go to Genesis chapter 37.
Genesis chapter 37 and verse 1. And Jacob dwelt in the land wherein his father was a stranger, in the land of Canaan. These are the generations of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brethren, and the lad was with the sons of Bilhah, and with the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives. And Joseph brought unto his father their evil report.
So understand, Joseph is not liked very much because he the family snitch. He has brought back the evil report of his brothers. What the stuff that they're doing. And this stuff ain't right. But all they know is snitches get stitches. You done told, bro. Go ahead.
Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his other children.
This also caused the problem. See? Go ahead.
Because he was the son of his old age.
He was the son of his old age. Like I said, we deal with things differently when we get older. See? So now, this is the son of his old age, and he's paying a lot more attention to this boy and the gifts that this boy has. Go ahead.
And he made him a coat of many colors. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him and could not speak peaceably unto him. And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it his brethren, and they hated him yet the more.
Right. So now he has a gift, but he still got to learn how to operate within the gift. See? We have a gift, and we ready for that gift to make us some money. But ain't nobody finna pay you to practice. Now you got to learn how to work your own gift before you get to the point of getting paid for that gift. You got to learn the ins and outs of that gift. Now he gonna learn this, but it ain't gonna be nice how he get to learn it. But he gonna learn his gift. Go ahead.
And he said unto them, Hear I pray you this. Hear I pray you this dream which I have dreamed. For behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose and also stood upright. And behold, your sheaf stood around about, and made obeisance to my sheaf. And his brethren said unto him, Shall you indeed reign over us? Or shall you indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more for his dreams and for his words.
Right. So he's going about, he's having these dreams, and they automatically looking at part of these dreams and what they mean. And they're upset because, of course, he's the younger brother. How the younger brother gonna rule over the older one? Go ahead.
And he dreamed yet another dream, and told it his brethren, and said, Behold, I have dreamed a dream more. And behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance to me.
So it looked like Joseph talk a lot. He talk a lot. He talking, and he is ticking them off. You know what I'm saying? Why don't you just keep your little dream to yourself? You see? You dream. Why don't you dream that you told us about the dream? How about that? Go ahead.
And he told it to his father and to his brethren. And his father rebuked him and said unto him, what is this dream that you have dreamed? Shall I and your mother and your brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to you to the earth? And his brethren envied him, but his father observed the thing.
Now, even though he rebuked him, the father, the siblings have some animosity with what's happening. The father also rebuked him. Because, man, what? Me and your mama gonna bow down to you? But at the same time, then he's sitting there watching this boy. There's something different about this boy. So although he rebuked him, he's still watching. Go ahead.
And his brethren went to feed their father's flock in Shechem. And Israel said unto Joseph, do not your brethren feed the flock in Shechem? Come, and I will send you unto them. And he said to him, here am I. And he said to him, go, I pray you, see whether it be well with your brethren, and well with the flocks, and bring me word again. So he sent him out of the vale of Hebron, and he came to Shechem.
Now, you see part of the issue already. The brother got a coat of many colors, and they out there with the flock, and he at the house. Wait a minute now. Hey, now he going to go see how they doing, but he not with them. So you know they got some heavy animosity going on here. First of all, how he get this little pretty coat? Who gave him this pretty coat? He ain't charge us. Go ahead.
You know, even in this last part here, it says he sent him out of the vale of Hebron. He sent him out of his protection.
Exactly. The veil is a covering. Go ahead.
And a certain man found him, and behold, he was wandering in the field. And the man asked him, saying, what seeketh you? And he said, I seek my brethren. Tell me, I pray you, where they feed their flocks. And the man said, they are departed hence, for I heard them say, let us go to Dothan. And Joseph went after his brethren, and found them in Dothan. And when they saw him afar off, even before he came near unto them, they conspired against him to slay him. And they said one to another, behold, this dreamer comes. Come now therefore, and let us slay him, and cast him into some pit. And we will say, some evil beast has devoured him. And we shall see what will become of his dreams.
So their objective is to do something to him to make sure that the dream does not come to pass. But in actuality, their anger and aggression against him actually ensures that the dream will come true. Go ahead.
And Reuben heard it, and delivered him out of their hands, and said, let us not kill him. And Reuben said unto them, shed no blood, but cast him into this pit that is in the wilderness, and lay no hand upon him, that he might rid him out of their hands, to deliver him to his father again.
Right. So instead of really standing up, he gonna fake stand up. See, really standing up would have been standing in their face, saying this is wrong, and I ain't gonna have no part of it. But he gonna pretend like he gonna go with it, so he can come back later and grab the little boy out the pit and send him back. See, this is what happened when you're afraid of the looks on their faces. You ain't strong enough to stand there and say, no, I disagree. Go ahead.
What it also showed was the character of the older who was supposed to have the inheritance.
Exactly. Go ahead.
And it came to pass, when Joseph was come unto his brethren, that they stripped Joseph out of his coat of many colors that was on him. And they took him, and cast him into a pit, and the pit was empty, there was no water in it. And they sat down to eat bread, and they lifted up their eyes and looked, and behold, a company of Ishmaelites came from Gilead with their camels bearing spicery and balm and myrrh, going to carry it down to Egypt. And Yehudah said unto his brethren, what profit is it if we slay our brethren and conceal his blood? Come, and let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother and our flesh. And his brethren were content.
All right, that's the end of that. Let's go to Genesis chapter 41. Now, under that, the veil or that protection of the Father, this gift cannot fully be prosperous because it's not but so much he's going to be able to do amongst a whole lot of people who have animosity with the very gift that he has. The more he tells these people about his dreams, the more they hate him. Genesis chapter 41, and let's start that at verse 1.
And it came to pass at the end of 2 full years that Pharaoh dreamed, and behold, he stood by the river. And behold, there came up out of the river 7 well-favored kine and fat-fleshed, and they fed in a meadow. And behold, 7 other kine came up after them out of the river, ill-favored and lean-fleshed, and stood by the other kine upon the brink of the river. And the ill-favored and lean-fleshed kine did eat up the 7 well-favored and fat kine. So Pharaoh awoke.
Right. So now Pharaoh has had this dream, but he don't understand what this dream means. Prophets are spoken to in dreams, so they understand certain things that are happening. So this brother and these other brothers who will eventually be prophets are accustomed to being spoken to in this way. See, it's all about learning how Yahweh deal with you. Go ahead.
And he slept and dreamed the second time. And behold, 7 ears of corn came up upon one stalk, rank and good. And behold, 7 thin ears and blasted with the east wind sprung up after them. And the 7 thin ears devoured the 7 rank and full ears. And Pharaoh awoke, and behold, it was a dream. And it came to pass in the morning that his spirit was troubled. And he sent and called for all the magicians of Egypt and all the wise men thereof. And Pharaoh told them his dream, but there was none that could interpret them unto Pharaoh. Then spake the chief butler unto Pharaoh, saying, I do remember my faults this day. Pharaoh is angry with his servants, and put me in ward in the captain, and put me in ward in the captain of the guard's house, both me and the chief baker. And we dreamed the dream in one night, I and he. We dreamed each man according to the interpretation of his dream.
Now, so the very gift that he has in being able to interpret these dreams, the very thing, because this is how Yahweh has shown him everything that he has been shown, that gift, which was causing him all kind of problems amongst his own family, his own kinfolk, as the same thing the Messiah said, a prophet is not without honor, save in his own house, in his own country, and among his own kin. So this thing that he has is of no it is of no value in his house, but because now they have sold him, then he ends up being a servant in this man's house. Then the woman ends up coming on to him. He don't deal with the woman. She accused him of rape. Now he in jail. Now, as being in jail, now he gets the opportunity to interpret and deal with some dreams of 2 men who are in a favorable position, or were in a favorable position. So now Yahweh is making a way for this gift to get into certain places. Go ahead.
Verse 12. And there was there with us a young man, an Hebrew, servant to the captain of the guard. And we told him, and he entreated to us our dreams.
Interpreted.
He interpreted to us our dreams. To each man according to his dream he did interpret. And it came to pass, as he interpreted to us, so it was. Me he restored unto mine office, and him he hanged. Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they brought him hastily out of the dungeon. And he shaved himself, and changed his raiment, and came in unto Pharaoh.
So now, because of the position that he is now in, now this gift is finally in the position where it may become prosperous. But that gift didn't do nothing but cause him hell all the way up until this point. Go ahead.
And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I have dreamed a dream, and there is none that can interpret it. And I have heard say of you, that you can understand a dream to interpret it. And Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, It is not me. Elohim shall give Pharaoh an answer of peace. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, In my dream, behold, I stood upon the bank of the river. And behold, there came up out of the river 7 kine, fat-fleshed, and well-favored. and they fed in a meadow. And, behold, 7 other kind came up after them, poor and very ill-favored and lean flesh, such as I never saw in all the land of Egypt for badness. And the lean and the ill-favored kind did eat up the first 7 fat kind. And when they had eaten them up, it could not be known that they had eaten them, but they were still ill-favored, as at the beginning. So I awoke. And I saw in my dream, and behold, 7 ears came up in one stalk.
Now understand, this is another dream. And I saw in my dream, behold, 7 ears come up in one stalk, full and good. Go ahead.
And behold, 7 ears, withered, thin, and blasted with the east wind, sprung up after them. And the thin ears devoured the 7 good ears. And I told this unto the magicians, but there was none that could declare it to me. And Joseph said unto Pharaoh, the dream of Pharaoh is one.
The dream is one. It's the same dream. It's just giving you a different understanding of it, and it's going to tell you why. Go ahead.
Elohim have showed Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good kind are 7 years, and the 7 good ears are 7 years. The dream is one. At the 7 thin and ill-favored kind that came up after them are 7 years, and the 7 empty ears blasted with the east wind shall be 7 years of famine. This is the thing which I have spoken unto Pharaoh, which Elohim is about to do, he showeth unto Pharaoh. Behold, there come 7 years of great plenty throughout all the land of Egypt, and there shall arise after them 7 years of famine. And all the plenty shall be forgotten in the land of Egypt, and the famine shall consume the land. And the plenty shall not be known in the land by the reason of that famine following, for it shall be very grievous.
Now, Pharaoh could get upset with him because he has told him this thing, or he can decide that he ain't going to listen to him, because the first part is 7 years of good. But if you don't prepare in this 7 years of good, the 7 years of bad that's coming after that is going to eat up every bit of good that you have encountered. And it's hard to tell somebody to prepare for bad while everything is going their way. Go ahead.
Genesis chapter 41 and verse 32. And for that the dream was doubled unto Pharaoh twice. It is because the thing is established by Elohim, and Elohim will shortly bring it to pass.
So the dream was double. When Yahweh doubles something, he establishes it. Go ahead.
Now therefore let Pharaoh look out a man discreet and wise, and set him over the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh do this, and let him appoint officers over the land, and take up the 5th part of the land of Egypt in the 7 plenteous years.
Right. So now, because of this, after going through all of these situations, it has taken him being sold as a slave. It has taken him being accused of rape, falsely accused of rape, locked up. Then, while in jail, his gift then has an opportunity where it is now presented before Pharaoh, and that in turn end up, as my brother mentioned last night in our new moon class, that evil that they did unto him actually was to make sure that he could go before them to save his family, and he was the only one that could do it with that gift. And the Father wasn't going to just send him. We automatically see that he was under the veil of the Father. Even as they went to go work, the Father didn't let him go out like that. He protected him. So it would have to be a way that he would be snatched away from the Father. Otherwise, he would have never let that gift go out to where it needed to go. Let's go to Matthew chapter 2. But if you also look into underlining things of that, what you find constantly in these things is the Savior and the children of Israel continuously coming out of Egypt. You hear it constantly, over and over again. Yahweh does the same things. This is why we talk about as you go into these stories and learn how Yahweh deals with things, it should start putting certain thoughts and understanding how Yahweh deals in your head. I mean, you work in a place and you got a certain supervisor, you know how they act. You know how they deal with certain things. You can look at certain things and say, man, James about to act a plumb fool. Why? Because such and such happened and I just know how he act. He finna jump off the top rope on this. Once you learn and you see certain things, you begin to expect certain behavior. Whereas you start reading this and understanding how Yahweh deals with things, it should automatically start putting your mind into gear on some certain things. So that when you begin to encounter things and then stuff starts happening, you can understand how Yahweh is dealing with you. Rather than sitting there and waiting for somebody to float down the hall and mumble something to you. Matthew chapter 2, and let's start that at verse 1.
Now when Yahshua was born in Bethlehem of Judea, in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem, saying, Where is he that is born king of the Yehudis? For we have seen his star in the east, and are come to worship him. When Herod the king had heard these things, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And when he had gathered all the chief priests and scribes of the people together, he demanded of them where the Mashiach should be born. And they said unto him, In Bethlehem of Judea, for thus it is written by the prophet. And though Bethlehem in the land of Judea are not the least among the princes of Judea, for out of you shall come a governor that shall rule my people Israel. Then Herod, when he had privily called the wise men, inquired of them diligently what time the star appeared.
Now do understand, verse 6, and you, Bethlehem, in the land of Yehuda, are not the least among the princes of Yehuda, for out of you shall come a governor that shall rule my people Israel. That's the same thing that he said before. Out of David shall come this branch, this king. So when these people who tell you that they got all these problems with the New Testament and they got all these issues that there's no Messiah, you got to understand that this same thing that is said in Matthew 2 is the same thing that was said in the Old Testament, talking about this son of David. Understand, David comes out of the tribe of Yehuda. This is the same thing that he's talking about. So they want to tell you that Yahweh don't have any other son or anybody that's going to rule under him. That's not what this book say. They claim they in the Old Testament, but they ain't reading it right. Go ahead.
Verse 8. And he sent them to Bethlehem and said, Go and search out diligently for the young child. And when you have found him, bring me word again, that I may come and worship him also. And when they had heard the king, they departed, and lo, the star which they saw in the east went before them, till it came and stood over where the young child was. When they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceeding great joy.
Right. And people want to tell you that that little thing that they have, that Star of David is this. The Star of David is Yahshua. And this ain't no star. This an angel. You ain't seen no star just move and go stand somewhere. What kind of star? You got a telescope. You ever seen a star just move and just sit over somebody's house? Right. Go ahead.
Verse 11. And when they were come into the house, they saw the young child with Mary his mother, and fell down and worshipped him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented unto him gifts, gold and frankincense and myrrh. And being warned of Elohim in a dream that
they were warned of Elohim in a dream. Which way to go? So did nobody float down the hall? Did nobody knock them off their horses? Ooh, don't go back that way. But these people are accustomed to getting their direction in certain ways. Go ahead.
And being warned of Elohim in a dream that they should not return to Herod, they departed into their own country another way. And when they were departed, behold, the angel of Yahweh appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, Arise and take the young child and his mother.
the angel then appears. Now he's getting instruction on where to take the child, just as the wise men got direction to go another way. Go ahead.
And flee into Egypt, and be you there until I bring you word. For Herod will seek the young child to destroy him. When he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night and departed into Egypt.
Now understand, this thing is what we have going on with these other Hebrew groups that claim that there is no Messiah. Do understand that there was, when we had we taped a special on the Black Panthers, and it was a government mandate from the CIA, and their objective and the part of their plan said to prevent the rise of a black Messiah. Do understand, the same thing that was going on with the CIA is the same thing that's going on here. To prevent the rise of a black Messiah, let's do everything, find out about the time that this child was supposed to be born, and let's go and see if we can harm everyone within that age group to prevent the rise of a black Messiah. So the same things that they did then is the same things that's happening now that we're reading about, and they use our people to do it. Go ahead.
Verse 15. And was there until the death of Herod, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken of the Adonai by the prophet, saying, Out of Egypt have I called my son. Then Herod, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise men, was exceeding angry, and sent forth and slew all the children that were in Bethlehem, and on all the coast thereof, from 2 years old and under, according to the time which he had diligently inquired of the wise men.
Right. So by killing every one of the kids within that age group, he said, look, we'll just kill all of them. One of them got to be that one. Go ahead.
Then was fulfilled that which was spoken by Jeremiah the prophet, saying, In Ramah was there a voice heard, lamentation and weeping, and great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children, and would not be comforted, because they are not. But when Herod was dead, behold, an angel of the Adonai appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt.
Constantly, we keep seeing the same thing. The prophets are receiving their direction, and these brothers have they read out of these scrolls. They are these stories are handed down from generation to generation. So getting their direction, they're accustomed to how they're going to get their direction. Go ahead.
Saying, Arise and take the young child and his mother, and go into the land of Israel, for they are dead which sought the young child's life. And he arose and took the young child and his mother, and came into the land of Israel. But when he heard that Archelaus did reign in Judea in the room of his father Herod, he was afraid to go thither. Notwithstanding, being warned of Elohim in a dream, he turned aside into the parts of Galilee. And he came and dwelt in a city called Nazareth, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophets.
That it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophets. Go ahead.
He shall be called a Nazarene.
So it was problems that pushed him to the place where he was supposed to be. He's trying to go one place, then something else happens, then he's forced there, then it becomes fulfilled that he shall be called a Nazarene. They said, does any good thing come out of Nazareth? So Yahweh saw fit to make this great prophet come out of a city, an undesirable city. A city that they say, there's nothing good come out of that city. Yahweh said, yes, something good gonna come out of that city. So we're talking about then the Messiah grew up in the hood. The places we run over people trying to get the hell out of. We're trying to get as far away from the hood as we possibly can. Yahweh said, no. Put him right there. That way he need to grow up right there. Why? Because he going to get trained. You don't get trained for hardship by eating strawberries and powdered sugar all day. That ain't how you going to get trained. and half the time we're running from the training. That's all that we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.